went live with a sketch session. Thought it would be fun to just do some sneaker sketching. These are some old sketches from a project from a few years back. It was fun just to kind of flip through these. So many ideas. It's like some of you don't realize how many ideas it takes to get to, a final product. There's dozens of sketches here. Really cool to see those, but let's dig into doing a new sketch. You kind of see how I like to explore an idea, some different views on a page. Let's do something like that maybe. Get my clipboard here. All right. Just gonna start just kind of free sketching a little bit here with a Sharpie. I don't have too much of a plan going into it here. Just kind of having fun with it. It's like one of the things I really try to do when I start out. It's like I try just not to put too much pressure on myself, The first thing when I start doing a sketch, I just tell myself like, hey, this isn't the real sketch yet. This is just to have fun. Just to warm up. Let's see where it goes. And I find that the more I tell myself that, the more I actually get to somewhere I want to go. Just by putting a little less pressure on myself. It's kind of funny. It's like, you ever know those people that kind of set their alarm clock early, trick themselves, into thinking it's actually 5 minutes earlier than it is. It kind of works with sketching too, I think. Yeah, I really do not have much of a plan here. Maybe this is some kind of like interesting rounded shape here through here cross-sectionally. Let's see, where do I want to take that? Not sure just yet. If you have any questions or anything while I sketch along, feel free to pop them into the chat. I'll try to pay attention. I don't know, something interesting going on here at the tooling. I have no other plans for anything else yet. What if I gave this a little bit? Let's see, do I want to give that a little bit of an arch in there? Yeah, I don't think I needed it. Maybe let's get a little bit more toe spring here. Throw a clean sheet over the top here. Isaac asked in the chat if I'm sketching with a Sharpie. Yeah, I like to sketch with a Sharpie, especially for kind of the underlays, because I'm just kind of like feeling it out, And the nice thing about sketching with a Sharpie is you really have to commit. The line is the line, and that's kind of nice when I'm just starting out. Like this kind of like bite here into the tooling. I just need to make that return up a little bit more. And I thought this was kind of a neat idea, this kind of foxing piece coming up off of that tooling line, but maybe it needs to just kind of go more like that. I'm gonna lower that counter down a little bit. Might still need a little bit of an extra little bit here in the tool. Maybe this will come down into the tooling. Give us a nice little color blocking opportunity instead of doing that line. It's almost kind of like a fuselage kind of a vibe going through here. Got a little bit of a rubber wrap up in the heel. That's going somewhere.
Meet Joe A, Joe B,
Oh, commercial. Let's see what else I want to do here. Do kind of a traditional tongue. Yeah. Starting to come together. Or maybe it's kind of like a half booty, so like it could be basically, you know, almost like a sock-like construction that's just kind of the toe up to the tongue, and then inside it would do something like this on the inside there. Yeah, let's do that. All right, let's get another clean sheet over top. All right, I'm gonna stick with Sharpie for now, but let's I wanna get a nice, a little bit more defined ground line in here. Still liking that idea. I'm gonna pull this line back a little bit in this overlay. It's kind of always taking a minute every overlay I do, kind of reevaluate the proportions. I think I need to show like a rear 3/4 to describe what exactly is going on in there. I'm almost seeing this kind of interesting bulging cross section through there. I think that makes a really fun line. It's gonna adjust this line here a little bit. It's a little stagnant. I think it'd be better if it kind of came back a little bit more, came down a little more, and then shot forward a little more. Yeah, I think that'd be a little bit more interesting. Okay, and then maybe, yeah, I got an idea here. I'm gonna do this instead of as eyelets here. I'm gonna do a piece of webbing, so the lace will kind of come through that webbing there, and then I'll do 2 eyelets down here, maybe 3. Yeah, let's do 3. 1, 2, 3. Then this little forefoot part, I'm gonna bring that back a little bit more, expose a little bit more of the sock part, and return that there. Again, showing this kind of semi-booty construction coming down to here. I'm just gonna leave the eyelets empty up here. Sometimes I like to do that in a shoe sketch, or leave the top few eyelets empty. John Health asks in the chat, do I have any advice for breaking into the footwear industry? Yeah, actually I have some good videos on like my portfolio that I used to get into Nike. You can go search those. There's some good ones there. But I think, my biggest piece of advice is to just know that it's hard, and you're just gonna have to keep at it. It's a very competitive industry, and it can be easy to get frustrated. It's totally understandable. But you gotta keep pushing, I'm gonna add a second view here to kind of show what's going on in the heel, but I'm gonna do a quick underlay for that here. Yeah, I think the other thing is like, my other pieces of advice for getting into the footwear industry are, always be looking at your competition, right? There's a lot of competition, but it's very visible. So you want to see what other people are doing and measure yourself against the competition, so that you can always be improving. It's an industry that's always kind of in flux. It's always moving. So you have to really be aware of kind of what the needs are in the industry, so you could be competitive. So you see, I'm trying to show kind of what's going on back here in this rear 3/4 sketch. Okay, so enough of it. I didn't want to take a total chance without doing an underlay, right, on the more final sketch here. But I didn't need to go totally detailed. I just needed to kind of get enough of an underlay that I knew I could kind of get the size and placement right. So what I'm seeing going back here is this kind of like the midsole kind of cut off. So you got all this kind of sculpted form coming out to this cutoff area. And then we've got this little bit here. and then this little notch out of the midsole. And then the way this rubber is gonna wrap here, it'll be like this. I think most of you probably know my good friend Spencer Nugent just published a book called The Perspective Drawing Guide, all about kind of being able to turn things in your head. And this is a great example of that. You know, when you're working when you're working on a product and you're trying to communicate it to other people, developers, prototype makers, sometimes you have to be able to show it from different angles, and you have to be able to do that a lot faster than you can building it in 3D CAD or something like that. So just being able to kind of do this work in your mind is so important. You know, being able to take something and rotate it around. All right. Get these other pages out from underneath here, these other underlays. Yeah, there's some kind of a heel logo back here. Let's just make up a brand mark here. Let's say maybe a couple little flex grooves in this midsole here. I say let's maybe let's throw some color on this. What do I want to do? I'm gonna go with yellow as a pop on this. And let's see, let me get some cool grays here. What's this? This is what, 60%, 50%? Something lighter. 10 too light, 30%. Let's start with 30%. Going to start with just some real general shading. So I want to show that this is kind of rounding, basically. Right, that's what's going on here. This is kind of round cross section through here. Getting some general kind of shading in here. This is a pretty dry 30%, which I like. Love a good dry marker. And then I'm thinking maybe this whole back area is going to be yellow. Just kind of go for it. So kind of using this line, see, do I want to make that yellow? I guess I do, just make that line come up. Or do I just want to follow this line? Let's start with this, let's see what we think. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep it that. And then maybe I'll do this one here, kind of keep going with this 30%. Yeah. Just a little shadow there to show that that's kind of a this is an overlay, and maybe we just do a little perf pattern here. Yeah, just gonna just adds a little bit of detail. Then I'm gonna come with this 50% for this overlay here. Just kind of starting out with a kind of solid fill here, and then I'm gonna add a little bit more depth and shadow as I go. Notice how I'm kind of working on both views at the same time too. Just kind of a little more efficient, keeps everything at the same level. Again, show a little shadow in here. Underside of the tongue. And maybe why don't we pop those laces in yellow as well. Again, I see a few people watching. If you have any questions or anything as I'm drawing, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll try to get to them. What's my favorite sneaker of 2022? John asked. I don't know, man. That's I don't know. I'm not a good person to ask that. I don't like a lot of new sneakers, to be honest. I tend to I just wear mostly Jack Purcells and Chuck Taylors. I wear stuff that was designed before I was born. I find that that's kind of a pretty common with a lot of footwear designers. It's like they tend to, I feel like they tend to fall into one or two camps. Either they're totally just hype beasted out with the latest stuff, or they just wear Chuck Taylors and a pair of Levi's and a white t-shirt. Definitely more in the second group. tend to wear a lot of Chucks, a lot of Jack Purcells, you know, a lot of Nike Blazers. I'll wear like some old Cortezes. When I worked at Nike, people used to make fun of me because I used to run on the running trails in Cortezes, and I was like, dude, like Steve Prefontaine ran in these in the Olympics in the 70s. Like, I think okay for my super slow jog. New shoes I love, not for 2022, John, but I'd say like one of the shoes I love the most from recent years is the Nike Air Max 270. Love that shoe. To me, that's like a great example of just like beautiful, clean footwear design. It's modern, but it's classic. I think that shoe will be around for a long time. Maybe put some little details here. I want to see those details here. I'm going to show how those wrap up over here in this view. So you're getting a sense of that connection between the views. Do a little detail through here too. John, in the chat, what's your favorite shoe of 2022? Okay, let's see. Bring this. So again, this is trying to show that this midsole is really kind of rounding under here. Getting a nice kind of round cross section, which is a little bit unusual, but I think it could be really nice. Balmain Unicorn. Is that a shoe? Or is that just a block of EVA that you could put on your foot before you trip and fall on your face? Because it seems like maybe it's more of the second thing. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. Coming back, I used a little 70% gray on that gray area. I'm coming back with a 50%, just kind of like make it blend in a little bit more. So this was 50% gray, but it's so dry now that I could put some more 50% gray on top of it, and it'll actually darken it down. Because you have to remember, ink is translucent, so if you add more of the same tone over top, it actually will darken it down a little bit. Okay, starting to shape up. Starting to turn into something here. I did these little perforations here. I'm just gonna come back into them a little bit. Okay. And then maybe we do a 20%, nice. That's what I want. Just a little texture in this EVA here. Okay, and then I want to show that this bit, you know, the vamp up into the tongue, that's all knit. Yeah, I don't know, John. I can't agree with you on that one. If it's an art piece, it's a not a great piece of art. It's no Van Gogh. Let's put it that way. Let's get some texture on that. How much did Nike pay me as a designer? That's not a personal question at all. Yeah, everybody's different. You know, I got paid well. Let's put it that way. I got compensated pretty well. Nike pays well. I mean, they know that their key differentiation is design, so they take care of their design team there. So I'm using a piece of fabric. This piece of fabric I actually clipped out of the Nike design library in like 2003, and I still use it under my sketches, and then I take a pencil and rub that down like that. It just gives me a little bit of texture. So I want to show that this is a sock here. This is like a knit component. John says Van Gogh is underappreciated in his time too. Good point. Good comeback. I don't think anybody's gonna be remembering that shoe though in 2 years. This is just a little indigo blue Prisma Color pencil. Come in here and tighten some of these things down a little bit from the Sharpie lines. Use a little bit of the side of the pencil again just to get a little more contrast. I like contrast, so pop in a little bit more contrast on there. Okay, now I'm gonna grab white pencil here. So I can kind of come in and pop up some of these details. They're a little darker, a little harder to see. So this is, this is an overlay, right? So I'm showing a little bit of shadow here, but as that overlay kind of wraps around, and then that top edge would, I'd catch a little bit of light there, right? And so it's little things like that just help the sketch to really pop off the page a little bit more, feel a little bit, helps people to understand what your intent is. Same thing with this EVA part, right? This foam part. There'd be a little edge here, right, where the upper wraps into the foam. So I'm just hinting at that. And it just, makes the sketch a little bit more believable. Coming back in with my blue pencil again, just to kind of define that highlight. You can't really see the highlight in the white part of the EVA, so kind of hinting at it, right, with the blue pencil. Maybe, you know what I'm gonna do? Because I'm showing this looks like some kind of a leather piece, but then the way this is wrapped, you probably want that to be textile there. Especially the way I'm showing it kind of bulging there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna break that. And then I'll get another little textile component here that would be nice and soft around your ankle and your Achilles, right? Do the same thing with the, using the little bit of textile underneath. But I'll do it with the white pencil this time since we're on a darker material. And then, because I want to show that this is kind of, maybe it's a little padded, right? So it's a little soft through here, a little padding. Add a little bit of stitching here. Again, these are the little details that just make the sketch pop a little bit more, make it feel a little more realistic. It also shows that you're thinking about how a lot of this stuff comes together. It's not just magically there. Now I need a little bit of white on this edge here. I want to show the edge of this material. See what just a few of those little details do for it? Come back up into this view. I've ignored this view for a little bit. Oh, gotta add I added this little break line here. Anybody sketching along with me here? Any of you that are watching, sketching too? If so, I always love seeing what you all do. If you are sketching, if you post it up on Instagram, make sure you tag me. I'd love to see it. Forgot to add the perforations in this view. It's getting pretty close, I think. I don't know, should I make that come down to here? Maybe we'll just do something like this. A little detail here. And a little texture break. Yeah, I got an idea. And I can just make that like a little slight texture in there. something a little interesting. Let's see, where's my 50%? I think we're pretty much done. What do you think? John says he's taking a break from sketching by watching some sketching. I hear you. I love to see how other people sketch too. It's always great to see. You know, you guys are so lucky. When I was in school in the 90s, I mean, you couldn't see what anybody else was doing, so it's like, it's so nice to be able to just see what other people do. Adding a little bit of texture here so you can see, you know, I'm communicating a little bit of a break here, you know, in this EVA, so you can see there's a rubber outsole adhered to it. I'm just getting a little bit of that outsole texture peeking to the side. Getting really close here. See if I can get a white pen. This is Milky Pop by Pentel. I love this pen. Really nice just for getting highlights that run through all these different things. You know, where the pencil isn't quite opaque enough maybe. I don't know about y'all, but I just really love sketching, you know? I've been reading a lot about, obviously about AI sketching and all that stuff, and that's great, you know, whatever. But I don't know, why would I want to automate the part of the process I love? I don't ever really feel like I'm at a loss for ideas. I love coming up with ideas. I love sketching through things. I love communicating things to other people. And, you know, I think humans have been doing that. Humans have been doing that since cave paintings, right? I mean, it's just kind of another way that we talk to each other. We don't even think about it, right? So, you know, one cave person decided to paint a buffalo, tell a story to another cave person. You know, I don't know if that'll go away, really. or maybe AI will just become one other tool in that toolbox. I mean, we didn't always have Pentel Milky Pops either, so. I'll keep an eye on it. Until then, just kind of keep enjoying myself. Matt Turney in the chat says he loves a good DiTullo sneaker drawing. Thanks so much, Matt. Appreciate that. Add a little shade onto those laces. A little cast shadow below them. You heard me say this, kind of like I always do these things to kind of make the sketch pop off the page. I try to look at the drawing and ask myself, like, am I communicating that as best as I can? You know, does it read to someone who's not me looking at it? And that's all I'm really trying to do here. And I'm not doing the bare bones, obviously. I am trying to communicate in a way that is interesting to people, right? I want to, when I show something like this to a client, I don't want them to be like, oh yeah, you did the job. I want them to be like, can you show me again? Oh my God, I want to see that. And so I want to hopefully get some excitement out of people, you know? That's my goal anyway. I want them to be excited about it. You know, product development, you know, whether talking about shoes or consumer electronics or what have you. It's hard. It's a long journey from this sketch right here to production, and it involves a lot of people. You know, developers, product managers, merchandisers, retailers. You know, product photographer. There's so many people along the way. And I want them all to feel good about it. I want them all to be excited, right? And sketch to me is it's just one point in the process, right? It's not the end all be all. It's just one point on the way to making a real product. But if I can get people as excited as possible about making that product, that's kind of my goal. I want them to feel like they're going to be a part of something really cool. You know, everybody wants to be proud of what they're working on. And, you know, not everybody gets to do what we do, but if this drawing can get them excited about it, I don't know. Maybe it's naive. Maybe that's a silly way to think about things. But it served me well for the last 25 years, so I'm gonna stick with it for now. Isaac Diaz in the chat says it looks so good. Thanks, I really appreciate that. Thank you. I hope this is helpful so you could see, you know, how I do things step by step. I don't have any magic. It's just, you know, a lot of years of working on different ways to communicate things. Practicing. You know, drawing it's like any language, you know, to be able to speak it fluently, you have to practice at it, right? And so, you know, right now you're all stepping in on my practice session, right? But that's all this is. It's just a practice. And you know, I look at it. It's like training to run a marathon, right? Like you train a little bit every day. Every day you run a little farther, run a little harder, and then the day you run that marathon that's just another day you run. That's what I'm doing here, right? This is a little training session here. A little Friday afternoon run. I'm really liking that contrast there. You know, I think that reads pretty nicely. And I think this extra little supplemental sketch, I feel like that hopefully is telling you a little bit something that's going on here in this midsole. Notice I just put that center line through there. Maybe I'll add one more quick view here. Just gonna throw a little toe down view here, just to kind of round out the page. We've got a little extra room. But I'm not gonna shade that in. I'll just kind of leave it as a pencil sketch. So let's see, I've got this kind of eye row does this interesting jog here, right? And I kind of want to show that. So let's see. Comes out like this. And cuts back. Yeah. And then we've got 3 eyelets here. I'm gonna let this extra view just be real loose. And then we've got a piece of webbing here. Get my little piece of textile here. If I was showing this to a developer or a product line manager, just gives them an extra little piece of information about what's going on. Ah, shoot. Showing them that's a clean toe there. It's not any overlays or anything in the toe. Again, it's making it a little bit more interesting through some line weight here. It tapers out nicely. And now we got kind of like a nice little rounded out sketch. Let's throw a signature on it. Thanks, Matt. Matt says he's mind blown from the texture technique. I freaking love, it's like one of my favorite things in the world when I sketch is just doing these little texture moments. You know, it's just, I don't know. Again, maybe it's silly, it's just, but you know, it's like, not everything is about efficiency. Not everything is about the minimum viable product or whatever. Like sometimes you just gotta do stuff for you. And like those little texture things, like that's for me. But it comes through and you love it too, right? Because I'm doing what I love. I'm proud of it. I'm enjoying it. And you know, it shows through in the end product, right? So don't forget when you're doing work, do some of it for you. I mean, we're designers, right? Like, not just pencils in somebody's hand. Again, just kind of coming back down here, adding a little bit more line weight, just the lowest extremities. My line weight got a little thick here, so I'm balancing it back out with a little bit of a thicker line there. I'm gonna take this line down a little bit too with this white pencil. All right, I think I'm pretty much done. I'm in danger of working this thing to death, but I think I'm still in a good zone. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for joining me this rainy Friday afternoon here in Portland. A little shoe sketch. I like this. I love this tooling. I really like what's going on here. I wish someone would make this, because I think there's something really interesting here in this tooling. But thanks for hanging out with me in this little practice session. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it gave you a little insight into how I do these things. You know what we always say at the end of these videos, right? Hit that like button, smash subscribe. If you love this, share it, throw me a comment. I appreciate all of you that are hanging out in the chat, giving me some positive comments. And yeah, I'll see you next time. I'll try to do another one of these soon, okay? I hope you all have an awesome weekend.